We're going to be making some really great bread dough today. And here at Sprattronics Learning Lab, we just did Bakery Week, which meant we explored the biology of yeast and designed experiments to prove if it was living or non-living. We came up with different ways to knead dough, and what we wanted to do is we wanted to create our own bakery. We made menus and did math by figuring out how much money we had spent. We designed our storefront and our menu and what we would serve at our bakery. What I'm going to show you today is some fantastic bread dough, and the whole idea behind this dough is that it's not too sticky. This is great dough for kid hands to use to get some practice kneading, and this dough also turns out great when it's all said and done. So I'm going to do all of our measurements using grams. I'll try to tell you how many cups they are, but we use a scale when we do this. So we start by putting our bowl on top, and we're going to start by adding some flour. And the amount of flour that we need is 800 grams of flour. Go ahead and pour that whole bag. Great. All right, now that we've got the flour taken care of, we don't need the scale anymore. Our next ingredient for our dough is going to be the yeast. You sure can. Will you pour this whole bag of yeast in? A cool experiment to do with yeast is to put a little bit of yeast into a bag, maybe like half a yeast packet into a Ziploc bag, and then add a little bit of warm water and a handful of sugar. And I'm going to add a handful of sugar to our yeast right here. And over time, you'll see that bag maybe start to bubble, maybe inflate with gas. That lets us know that the yeast are eating the sugar that we put in that bag, proving that they're a living thing. Or if the bag doesn't inflate and you don't see any bubbles, that yeast is non-living. Now, you should have living yeast in order to make great bread, because the yeast are what give bread its flavor, as well as makes air bubbles inside the bread. Do you guys know what we need next?
Water.
Water. For this recipe, we're going to use 500 grams of water, and this is a great chance to use a graduated cylinder. Can you guys fill that up to 500 for me? And try to use slightly warm water, and that'll make everything go a little faster. Filling it all the way up to here. How far? All the way up to here. Great. All right, Henry, can you pour that water in?
This is gonna be heavy. Nope, it's not.
One more thing that's going to help with the gluten development and make our bread stronger is a little bit of salt. It adds a little bit of flavor and salt. Hold your hands out, boys. No great way to do this is just give them some salt and let them throw that in. Go ahead and toss that in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And with that wooden spoon, go ahead and start stirring it up. Try to stir slowly so that we don't make a huge mess. One of you might need to hold the bowl. All right, I'll take over now. So we start by mixing this all up with a wooden spoon, but then we're gonna switch over to using our hand, because if you're gonna be a baker, you really need to get your hands into the dough. What we're going to do is we're going to knead this until we get a fairly good consistency. pick up most of our dry ingredients. And then we'll be able to divide this up into 3 dough balls to give out. All right, guys, roll up your sleeves and come on over. This is turning out exactly like we want. Once you have a pretty good dough ball, you can add some flour to your work surface.
Daddy, that one better.
So much better. And this ball of dough is easy to break off into 3 good-sized pieces. And what we're going to do now is we're going to knead this dough. So we just smash it down and fold, smash and fold, smash and fold, over and over again until you get a nice, smooth ball of dough that is ready to rise for a few hours before you throw it into the oven. You'll know you're done kneading your dough whenever it stops sticking to your hand and whenever it is kind of firm. It can be rolled into a nice ball.
Is this good? That thing to my hands.
Doing great. We really like this dough because it can be shaped into lots of different types of bread. You could do a round ball and this will blow up over the day as the yeast develops in making a nice traditional loaf of bread. Rustic loaf, I suppose. You could also roll this dough out into a long hoagie shape and you could make a sandwich roll out of it. That'll roll up into a submarine bun. You could also roll it out real thin and make a pizza with this dough. This dough is pretty versatile. Ultimately, you're gonna bake it for about 20 minutes at 400 degrees until the outside looks like a nice golden brown. And we made French toast with our bread this morning. We had some students who made pizzas with theirs. Others made nice, long, Italian-looking loaves of bread. So this bread, nice, clean, easy to work with, and lots of fun to practice kneading. I can't wait to see what you make with it, and join us at Sprattronics Learning Lab in Greenville, South Carolina.